Elementary Counselor. I'm so glad you guys are here. Today we're going to learn a skill that can make your life much better. But first, let's do a moment of mindfulness. And remember, mindfulness makes your mind stronger, like exercise makes your body stronger. The more you do it, the stronger your mind gets. So it's good to practice mindfulness. Today we're going to do mindful belly breaths, and we're going to count each inhale and exhale. So put one hand up, ready for counting, and put your other hand on your belly. Now breathe in and make your belly big and count 1. Breathe out, make your belly small and count 2. Breathe in, make your belly big, count 3. Breathe out, make your belly small, count 4. Breathe in, count, make your body big, count 5. Breathe out, make your belly small, count 6. Good job. Counting each breath can temporarily block thoughts that are not helping us in the moment. So this can help us calm down faster. So today we're going to learn more about solving conflicts using Sanford Harmony's Step It Up technique. An example of a conflict, let's say you asked your caregiver, which can be a mom, a dad, uncle, aunt, grandparent. So you asked your caregiver for more screen time for the next day because a new update was going to be released for your favorite game. Your caregiver said no. You got so upset you felt like exploding. Has that ever happened to you? In the last session, you learned the first step in the Step It Up approach to problem solving. Put your thumb up if you can remember what the first step was. Good. That's right. Stop, think, and cool off. If you have super strong feelings about a situation, like being told no for something that was super important to you, you want to cool off until your feelings go down to a 1, 2, or even a 3 on the feelings thermometer before starting to talk it out. That's because when you have strong feelings, most of your brain electricity goes to the emotional part of your brain, not the thinking part of your brain. Our functional IQ, that means how well we can think in the moment, actually goes way down when you are charged up emotionally and you can't think as well. That can get us in trouble sometimes and can cause problems in our lives. Put your finger on your earlobe if you can remember a time when your emotional brain, not your thinking brain, kind of took over, right? I certainly can remember more than a few times when that happened to me, and when I tried to talk it out before I calmed down first. Let's just say those things did not end well. So, what might have been your first reaction about being told no about screen time? That might not have gotten you what you wanted, and it might have actually made things harder or worse for you. So we need to calm our strong feelings before we try and talk something out. Remember functional IQ? Sometimes it takes all our strength to cool down first instead of saying or do something when we're super upset. If this happens to you a lot, like you say things when you're super emotionally charged, when your functional IQ is not, practice in your mind and imagine situations where you cool off first and then talk it out and it ended really well. Practicing something in your mind is almost as good as actually practicing it. There are a lot of scientific studies on that. So, back to calming down. Put your thumb up if you can remember some things you can do to calm your strong feelings. Good. I bet you might have thought of listening to music, squeezing and releasing your muscles, taking a walk, being with a pet, imagining your happy place. I would say video games, but we can't access those all the time, and sometimes they make us even more frustrated. So try and do other things besides that. And remember, calm, slow, deep belly breaths, just like we practiced, is one of the most powerful techniques, and counting your breaths actually makes it even more powerful. So, after you're calm, you can begin the second step in the step-up process called Talk It Out. In this step, we practice talking about our feeling and perspectives and listening to those of others. You guys remember about other people's perspectives when we talked about empathy. Basically, it's to remember that people can have different feelings about the same situation, respond in an understanding way, and we can get clues how people are feeling about a situation by looking at their face, their body language, and their actions. To resolve conflict, it's important to use these skills to understand the other person's perspective, even if we're feeling angry or sad about something they did or said, like saying no to screen time. It does not mean we have to agree with their perspective. Just try to understand their perspective. Understanding someone's perspective is like gold when it comes to solving conflicts. Listen very carefully and ask questions to understand their perspective more, like asking your caregivers why they might have said no to screen time. That might give you some clues that you can help to make a deal with them. Can you guys remember a time when maybe someone like a teacher or another person really tried to understand your perspective, even if they didn't agree with it? That can feel pretty good. The best negotiators and deal makers know how important it is to try and understand and state the other person's perspective before they start a negotiation. So this is an important lifetime skill. What might be your caregiver's perspective about more screen time? Think on that. Put your finger on your chin if you have some ideas. Good. Maybe you thought they were concerned about homework or chores or other things you needed to do. Maybe they might have worries that if they give you more now, you'll always want more and maybe won't stop when they ask you to turn it off. Maybe they're concerned about the game itself. Try and understand their perspective, and it'll give you good ideas to talk to them about it. After you've cooled down first, of course. You might be surprised at the result. So, to understand someone's perspective, we have to listen very carefully to what they're saying and ask questions to make sure you understand. So, to resolve conflict, not only do we need to listen to the other person's perspective, but we also need to pay attention to how we share our feelings and perspectives. Why do you think that's important? How you share your feelings and perspectives. Put your finger on your cheek if you have an idea. Good. Some of the ideas you thought of could have been, we could say things we don't mean if we're angry. We could place all the blame on the other person. We don't want to hurt the other person's feelings. We want them to understand our own feelings and perspectives. What might have happened if you spoke to your caregiver unkindly about the more screen time request? Would you have been more likely to get what you wanted or not? We'll be doing an activity in a bit where you're going to practice responding in a way that can give you better chances of getting what you want and also will help you get along better with others, and people will like you more. So this is really good stuff. To do this, we're going to discuss 2 different ways to share feelings and perspectives when having a conflict with someone. The first is using a put-down statement. Put your finger on your chin if you know what that means. Yeah, right, like a comment in which you try and make someone feel bad. Maybe you're trying to get back at them, and then they will try and get back at you, and so on and so on. Put-downs most always make problems bigger. When we put someone down, we might be blaming them, saying something bad about them, or making fun of them in some way. So what would be an example of a put-down when your caregiver said you could not have more screen time? Put your finger on the side of your head if you can think of one. Yeah, like, you don't understand anything about me. You're the worst caregiver ever. Or mimic them. Do you think a put down would resolve the conflict? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Would that be solving the problem like a turtle, a shark, or an owl? To solve the problem like an owl, using the step-up approach, we will practice using a different type of statement to express ourselves. Instead of using a put-down statement, we will use clear-it-up statements. We use cleared-up statements to resolve a problem, and then let the other person know how we're feeling. Instead of blaming the other person, we focus on our own feelings and how we want to resolve the problem. Knowing how to use clear-up statements can make your life so much better, so learning them is super important. There are usually two parts to cleared-up statements: feeling statements and request statements. First, we say how we're feeling, and second, we say what we'd like to happen in the future, meaning we make a request. How can you tell your caregiver how you feel using a feeling statement? Put your finger on your chin if you can think of a way. Good. An example might have been, I felt upset when you said no. When we use feeling statements, the tricky part is making sure we focus on our own feelings and thoughts without blaming the other person. Think about it. If you said, you made me upset versus I felt upset, can you feel the difference between the two? Can you remember a time when you felt blamed by someone during a conflict? It kind of makes us shut down and sometimes get even madder. It takes practice to not blame someone for how we feel. We'll work together to help learn this new skill. Now, let's try coming up with a request statement for your caregiver. Can you think of an idea? Good. You might have thought of saying, when you have time, could you listen to me a little bit more about more screen time? So, if we put it all together, once you're feeling calm, you could say to your caregiver, I felt really upset when you said no. I would like it if you could listen to me for a moment so I could talk to you more about it. Is this a good time? It's always good to ask if it's a good time. And this is also a good time to show that you have thought about their perspective. Like you could say, I know you're concerned about me getting all my schoolwork or chores done. If I finish my schoolwork or chores early and maybe do a little extra and promise to stop right at the end of my extra time, would you reconsider? Do you think you might have had a better chance at getting more screen time by asking this way? It still might not work, but at least you tried in the best way possible. And the more you practice, the better you get. And maybe next time it'll work out better. Because clear-up statements are so important, we're going to do an activity so you can practice them. Using clear-up statements instead of put-down statements can make a big difference towards getting what you want. Having people like you more and also feeling happier because you have less problems. In the activity, you will see a put-down statements for various situations. So note how you would feel if someone said them about you, and maybe how big it might be, and then come up with a clear-it-up statement to use instead. Remember, using clear-it-up statements can make your life so much better. So practice them a lot. Think about maybe getting more screen time. Very useful skills indeed. So, on to the activity.